Маяк передает легкую музыку.
Welcome to the American Dream Podcast Season 2, the show where I interview immigrants from all over the world to hear their perspectives of the American dream. I'm your host, Ekaterina. Привет. I'm in a studio with Lisbeth Ramirez. So you are originally from Venezuela and you and I never met before. However, you are a good friend of Marqueta Garrison.
Yeah.
You guys both are hairstylists here locally, and I'm assuming that's how you both met?
That's right. Yeah.
I really want to get to know your story of immigration and your thoughts in general on the American dream. So let's start since the very beginning when you lived in Venezuela. Where were you born and what it was like growing up and living in Venezuela?
Okay, I grew up in Caracas, Venezuela, and I grew up in mostly an Italian neighborhood in Caracas. And back in the 70s, mid-80s, it was a nice neighborhood. A lot of Italian immigrants. Good childhood, playing on the streets. At that time, they were starting the street gangs, where one time my brother got beat up and I just joined in and helped him to get in the fight with the other boys. So that was happening then in the mid-80s. And then childhood was good, just normal childhood, some poverty. Sometimes there was no water in the city and we had to go down to get water and hold water from the big old truck cisterns or something, they call it like that, and hold the water into our house. So walk quite a few miles with the water hanging on us. And that would happen once in a while. Not often, not every month, but once in a while we had to do that. One other thing that I didn't quite enjoy about my childhood was having to go to a farmer's market. My family didn't have a car, so we would have to take the public bus, which was always crowded, and it was always on Wednesdays or Saturdays when everybody went to the farmer's market that was there, because the supermarkets where you get your shopping cart, that's a more expensive, fancy place to shop, and only the people that have more, finances get to shop in these nice, fancy places. We know people that workers, my mom was a nurse, my dad was a taxi driver. Eventually, my dad died of cancer, so it was just my mom. And so we had to go to the farmer's market, which meant we have to carry our own big old heavy bag and put our groceries and then stop at the bus station, get a bus, public transportation. A lot of times they didn't have open seats, so you have to hang from the railing and hold on your bags, and there were ladies with chickens and all that kind of things that you see in third world countries. Well, that was it. So
when did you move to the United States and why?
I was 25 and my husband, which we were engaged over there, we spoke English. We got trained on English since I was younger, and he wasn't as younger as me, but we were training with our English language, and we always, as we were dating, we talk about immigrating, because Venezuela was just getting to be a country that, even though if you have a good financial status and life, the safety wasn't good. Somebody could break into your house and kidnap you and kill you, and so that wasn't something that we wanted. Even if you live to a good neighborhood, you have to have your cars have to be bulletproof and all of that. That's not something if you have the right finances, you're a target, even bigger time than if you are just poor.
So what was your immigration journey and process of adaptation like?
My immigration journey was kind of easy. I just have to do a very long line on the embassy and prove that I have enough money on my bank account, which some friends just lended me money to put on the bank account. In that way, I will show that I have a big, nice amount of money on the bank, which then I have to give it back. But at least because I wasn't that financially, I didn't have that much, then friends help by putting their money, lending it for a little while. So show the embassy that I have a lot of money. Something that was important at that time, I guess. At the immigration booth, they questioned me about that, but I said, I'm just going to USA. Why do I have to have a house? And they thought, it was kind of easy. It was scary because they were denying everybody in front of me, but to me, they just approved it. So I came, and I didn't tell them I was coming to get married to my fiancé. I just wish he's from Venezuela too. I didn't tell him that because you don't say that. So I just said I'm going on vacation. Was kind of halfway through.
Yeah.
I came to a friend's house for 3 months while we arrange a wedding, because you're not going to tell the truth. in a place.
Right.
When you want to get a visa, you're not going telling the truth. You say, I'm going on vacation. Otherwise, if you tell them, I'm going to get married to my fiancé and live there, they're going to deny you right away.
What was the most difficult part about leaving Venezuela?
It was not difficult. When you go from a bad place to a good place, it's not difficult. You get away from crime. You get away from being kidnapped or killed or shot. It's like coming from New York to this area, or from a ghetto to this area of U.S. It's not really that difficult when you come to a better place.
Is there anything that you miss?
Not at all.
Not at all?
The thing is that because my parents were immigrants, I didn't have family. So I think that has to do a lot with that. That I was not rooted in the country with family or uncles or cousins. I didn't have none of that. So it was easy for me I was not that attached to the country anyways. My husband was, though. It was harder for him because he left family behind. I didn't.
Do you know what was the hardest part for him?
His family.
His family.
Where I didn't have that. It didn't face me.
Okay, so you and your husband arrived at the United States. What was it like when you just first arrived?
He came first.
Okay.
We have friends here, so they offered their home to him. And so he came, and we were engaged. We were not married yet.
Okay.
He came, he got grace in somebody's eyes and decided to sponsor him through his company. Then he got the first job, have my airplane ticket sent to me. I had graduated my college. I had my visa, and I came and I stayed at a friend's house for 3 months. I had to get used to, I thought I spoke English. I thought I was fluent, but then I realized I was not quite. It took me about 3 months for my English to really pick up.
So what was the most difficult part about coming here, besides the language barrier?
Difficult. I think one thing that I have to work on was my pride, because being in Venezuela, I was a college graduate. I did work in finances, on banking, and I always have this big pride of who I was and the kind of job that I did, and having to come here, and I did clean houses at the beginning to get a little extra money, and then I worked as a ESL teacher, English as a second language.
Okay.
And I liked that job a lot better. But then summer came and I was bored. Then I did the CNA training, and I enjoyed the training. I didn't enjoy the job when it came to work as a CNA, but I stayed there because I wanted to do it. Sometimes you just gotta do things that are hard. So I did it until we have our first baby. And then I switched to, they gave me the position of activities assistant, but I have to fill out, after my 6 months of CNA, I filled out like 300 applications to get transferred to another position in CMH, the hospital in Bolivar.
Oh.
And they will not give me the transfer. I think it's because being a foreigner with an accent, they will always tell me, no, we decided to hold on the position. And then when they saw that I was so persistent, 300, every time, every paycheck, we have a time to apply for a new position, I will apply. One that I knew I was qualified for. And they will not give it to me until finally, I think they got a little afraid of the persistence and gave me the activities assistant.
Interesting.
So I stayed there for 9 years doing activities assistant, and I loved it. And I raised my children, and then I moved on to hairdressing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what most surprised you here in the States?
I was so impressed by the food.
Really?
Like the cereal aisle was my heavenly aisle.
Yep.
I was like, I didn't know there was so much different kind of cereals in my life. That was the most impressive thing. And the sweets and the church gatherings and the desserts, that was so impressive. I never seen so many sweets in my life. So
food.
Food was the most impressive thing that first impacted me. After that, it was to see the cows and the open fields. And
Yeah.
I grew up in a city, so to see open fields was impressive. I just love that. I still love it.
So the top 4 challenges every immigrant faces in the United States are language barriers, employment, housing, access to services. How did you overcome these?
Language barrier, it was there, and it's still somewhat there because of the accent. It's always going to be there. But my barrier wasn't so big because I knew English. It just took 3 months for my ear and my accent to get a little more, acquainted.
Right.
But I think learning English and knowing English is so important when you come, especially as an adult.
Yeah.
When you come as a child, it's easier.
Yes.
But as an adult, you better know English. Otherwise, you cannot come to this area of the country. You might have to go to Florida, somewhere else.
Yeah.
But in this area of the country, you do need it. Otherwise, it's going to take longer, Well, on the employment, I did find that, like I said, just getting promoted, didn't get it as easy because I'm sure of the accent and being from another country. They didn't give it to me, but it just took a lot of persistence to show them, hey, I really want to get out of CNA.
Right.
So housing, it was easy. We just chose the cheapest rent and then save your money. And it was not really a problem. You just have to choose wise.
Yeah. Access to services, any problem with that?
No, not at all. No, my husband he was sponsor and he has a good education, so he always have the good insurance, and we have no struggle with that.
So if someone you knew from Venezuela were planning on coming to this country or community, what would you tell them to expect?
If they come as an adult, they have to speak English if they come to this area. If they don't speak English, they really need to stay around the Spanish-speaking areas, because it's really hard if they don't speak English. And what to expect, they have to let go of their pride and do whatever job it comes, the jobs that the Americans don't want. And it's okay to do that. Like I did house cleaning. And it took my pride off. So I think that was good. Because, people from other countries, everybody has a pride. Doesn't matter what country you're from, you're prideful.
So what advice would you give them about whether or not they should even come to this country?
If they want to come legally. Being illegal, I can just imagine. And I read about how hard it is. So come legal as much as you can. Like, don't cross a river or do anything illegal like that. But some people have to do it because it's life or death choice. Come legally and know English, or know that you have to be in a place where they speak Spanish. And, be able to work whatever job comes. Pride is not going to be your friend. So have to let go of that.
So if they decided to come, what advice would you give them about how to make the best of their experience? How to make it easier for them?
There is no such a way to make it easier. When people come to a country, a new country, it's not going to be easy in a way. So you have to just keep that in mind. You're going to work harder, and you have to work harder, and there is no other way. You have to work longer hours. You have to save more money. You're not going to have the kind of fun that other people have. When I came, a lot of people will talk about Branson and Silver Dollar City and all of that, and I didn't even have a clue what that place was. We never went to that place ever until many, just recently, last year, we went to Silver Dollar City for the first time after 25 years here. Because in the beginning of our time here, we worked 3 jobs.
Yeah, you just don't have time for that.
We don't. So they have to, when you come to this country, you have to be conscious that you're going to work hard and don't expect to have the same that other people have. The same luxuries of, and we're going to go camping or we're going to go to restaurants all the time. You have to be focused that you have to work hard, save your money, or you're not going to advance that easily.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for sharing your story with us. We got to take our break. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back. You're listening to the American Dream Podcast. I'm your host, Ekaterina, in a studio with Venezuelan citizen, Elizabeth.
Hello.
So what is the most important thing for Venezuelan citizens? What is something that they care about the most? And is that something that they want to carry with them when they move to America and make it their Venezuelan American dream?
I think as a nation, they will just love to not have communists. Party. They would love to get rid of communism. Their dream will be to be free from that. Usually, you will say Venezuelan people will care about family, but honestly, they care a lot about looks nowadays. Like women go through extents to do plastic surgery to have that
Really?
physical look. It's just the way that this generation, even in my husband's family, we see that there is poverty and they can afford, but they're gonna do the plastic surgery. And it's something that it's just this young generation does. Is they care so much about looks. It's like their brain got lost. It might not be everybody, but 50-50.
So what is the American dream for you? Is it different from Venezuelan American dream? How do you feel about that concept?
I think the American dream for me, something that I feel passionate about is that to reach out as many people as I can to show them that there's still goodness in the world. Not everything is bad, not everybody's bad. We can still show love and do an effort to love each other in your community, in your neighbors. That's something that I'm very passionate about helping others and showing them love. Americans are really good at that, at reaching out throughout the world, other communities with the Red Cross, with the disaster reliefs, Convoy of Hope. I can see how the communities come after a tornado and churches get united to help. And that's something that I don't see in Venezuelan people doing.
So you have a specific American dream?
I think I reached it. Being here and having my children, giving them a better life. Been here 25 years, I'm living it, I don't have a big dream of a big fat bank account, or I don't have dreams of traveling too much or going on cruises. None of that. I'm very satisfied where I am.
So you reached your limit?
I pretty much did, yeah. I feel very satisfied where I am. Mm-hmm.
You don't want to go after more?
No.
Why is that?
I'm 50. And I feel very satisfied with the people that I can reach around me and just give him love and give him encouragement. I feel like I really don't want more education.
Okay.
I'm satisfied with what I have on education and satisfied what I have on finances. And it comes a point that you're satisfied. I'm not a big traveler. I just don't want to travel that much. My husband wants to travel. And he pushes me to go when we go, and I enjoy it, but I just like to stay where I am in my area.
You like to be more settled?
I do, yeah. There is so much things around the Ozarks to do that I don't want to go to other countries to visit. He does, but so yeah, he drags me around. We have gone to Australia. It's a beautiful country. I don't know if I can trade Australia for US. We have debated that, but at the end, no. After the pandemic, we realized that in US we have a lot more freedom. And over there in Australia, they were locked up and the rules were so much strict. And I don't know that Americans could have handled that that well.
So do you think you reached the Venezuelan American dream? If you were going back to Venezuela, what would they say to you? They probably would say, oh, you're living our American dream.
I wouldn't know if they will say that. But I know when you see in Venezuela, back in my time, when we'll see American people, we will think that they're rich.
So do you think that's the way people would look at you now?
I think so, because we're always sending money back home. We're always, and for any need that they have, like an appliance breaks down, they always reach out to my husband. If they need contact lenses, they always reach out to my husband for that. So it's like we're an endless supply of money. But I tell my husband, it's up to you. Just if you want to give, it's okay.
So finally, do you think the American dream worth everything you went through? And if somebody else were to come here to fight for their American dream, what would you tell them to expect?
Work hard and speak the language, and don't ever take advantage of people around you. Just be very honest and go through life with honesty and working hard, and get to learn to be in a place where you're satisfied. Because some people just are never satisfied. They always want to get the best of the best of the best. And if that's the American dream, that's a wrong dream, To me, it's just learning to be satisfied and learning to be okay and enjoy every day. Because we never know when this day is it. We just never know. Who knew that 2020, we were going to be locked down for a month?
Yes.
I think that taught everybody a lesson, like take advantage of every time. And I don't know what's somebody else's dream, but my dream is I got it. I have my children, they're raised, they're adults that we got to take away from the grips of the drugs culture nowadays. There is drugs everywhere, and that's something that I think a lot of young families deal with. It's something that we never thought that coming to America, we were going to have so much drugs all around us, but it is. It's everywhere. So I'm glad my children were spared from that.
So everything you went through overall, definitely worth the American dream.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a dream of peace, to know that you're going to go on the street, walk your dog, and for the most part, you're going to be okay and come back home safe for the most part. There is always that one time. Yeah. Especially nowadays.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for visiting me today, Elizabeth. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram at Podcast TAD.